Once upon a time, story mode was something you only expected in RPGs and adventure games. If you wanted character arcs or emotional stakes, you played Final Fantasy or The Legend of Zelda. But today, story modes are everywhere. The concept of a game focused purely on quick arcade matches, competitive score chasing, or mechanical simulation has slowly faded. Now games that used to be solely about competition or simple mechanics are telling partial to full-on narratives. Competitive powerhouses like Street Fighter 6 now let you create your own fighter and explore a vast story-driven single-player adventure in its World Tour mode. Sports simulations like NBA 2K and Madden have turned career modes into fully voice-acted sports dramas. Even puzzle games like Puyo Puyo and Paddle de Pon built story-driven campaigns around quirky characters and defined goals. The line between gameplay and storytelling is gone. This shift from just play the game to live the experience hasn't just added cutscenes. It has fundamentally changed how we design, market, and consume video games. It's a transition driven by better technology, higher player expectations, and a simple realization: a great story is the best way to keep a player engaged. So today I want to break down how stories invaded every genre, from puzzle games to sports, to talk about how long this has been around and why more stories in these games might actually be a good thing. Let's start where you at least expect a story: puzzle games. For decades, these were the purest form of gaming, survived longer than the other player to achieve the highest score. Narrative was at best a brief explanation on the back of the box. Then Puyo Puyo added something new. When the series gained popularity in the early 90s, it added characters, defined rivalries, and a narrative structure to frame each duel. The story was pretty light, built on slapstick humor and character quirks, but it served a massive purpose. The story added identity, humor, and stakes. When the modern Puyo Puyo Tetris matchups arrived, Sega created full, branching campaigns.
But I need your help. Some kind of strange phenomenon is happening. It's trying to merge the worlds of Puyo Puyo and Tetris yet again. And they'd already been separated once before.
Wait. Hold it right there. Separated once before? Does that mean this isn't the first time this has happened?
These stories guided players through the rules of both games while immersing them in a wacky, fully realized world of interdimensional travel. Then you had the Pokemon Puzzle League, which did something similar, wrapping the addictive puzzle gameplay around Pokemon battles. On the Super Nintendo, they had Paddle de Pon and Tetris Attack, which also had stories. But since Pokemon was incredibly popular, they decided to add the franchise to the Puzzle League in hopes that it would sell better. They also decided to have a story mode to have Ash go against the gym leaders and the Elite Four. Now you weren't just clearing blocks, you were facing Erica, Brock, or Giovanni, characters right out of the anime. The narrative structure gave context and emotional stakes. What could have been just another puzzle game suddenly felt like a playable episode of the Pokemon series. But I mean, not really, right? It's still a puzzle game. But something that went a long way was the trash talk during each match, and the fact that each Pokemon had fanfare every time you got a chain in. So you could feel more satisfied with your combo or get more panicked knowing that a large amount of trash was coming your way.
I'm gonna win!
I gotta say here that I've played Pokemon Puzzle League a lot. I've also played updated versions of this game with no narrative, no characters behind it either. And I definitely can say that the game that came afterwards was unfortunately more boring. Why? Because story doesn't just add flavor, it adds purpose, identity, and most importantly, it keeps players playing. It's a framework that turns a mechanical loop into a memorable journey. Racing games are about one thing: get to the finish line first. So why add a story? In 1997, Diddy Kong Racing provided one of the earliest and most compelling answers. It wasn't just a collection of tracks, it was a micro adventure. It introduced an overworld, boss races, collectible items, and a persistent villain, Wizpig. Players were exploring new parts of the island, collecting keys and earning progression. The story transformed the act of racing into a genuine adventure. The simple addition of narrative framework justified the exploration and gave a reason for the races to feel greater than just getting a gold trophy. Years later, the concept got a different twist. Mod Nation racers took this idea and applied it to a customizable kart racer. Players created their own karts and characters while climbing a light-hearted, fully voiced championship story. The narrative added structure and motivation. You were building your fame and reputation in the go-kart world. Players created their own karts and characters while climbing a light-hearted, fully voiced championship story. The narrative added structure and motivation. You were building your fame and reputation within a defined ecosystem. The comedy in this game was refreshing to the storyline as well.
Jill Vasquez with reigning MRC champion Espresso. Are you sizing up the other drivers?
What drivers? That's the only costumed fools. But you are as alluring as the Venus de Milo. Except you have arms.
You can just answer the question.
And you can just be swept away to my Tuscan villa to eat coffee beans from my perfect Italian toes.
And there you have it. Espresso, Mod Nation's offending champion.
I think you meant defending.
Did I?
The modern peak of this integration is seen in games like Grid Legends. Here, the story mode, titled Driven to Glory, is structured like a multi-episode sports documentary, complete with live-action cinematic cutscenes featuring professional actors. You follow rival drivers, experience boardroom tension, and navigate team politics alongside your high-stakes races. Grid Legends is a clear proof story is now seen as essential. It's the engine that provides context, emotional investment, and motivation for the mechanical act of driving, ensuring that even a simulation-heavy racing title can compete with narrative-focused AAA blockbusters. Now let's take a look at fighting games. These games have always had a reason to have a story mode, but just didn't. I feel like they were pretty similar to beat 'em ups, like a boss rush version of them. Anyway, the characters usually had a background and motivation to win, but the story was almost an afterthought. A few lines of dialogue, a couple of static scenes, a brief non-canon ending was the norm. Characters had lore, but the narrative structure holding the gameplay together was flimsy at best. But one game would stand out from all that, which is The Art of Fighting. The game's story revolves around the kidnapping of Yuri Sakazaki, the younger sister of the protagonist Ryo Sakazaki. The player chooses to control either Ryo or his best friend Robert. Ryo and Robert set out across Southtown using their skills to fight the city's criminal elements to find Yuri. The goal is simple: locate and rescue her before it's too late. The entire single-player story is essentially an intense journey of interrogation by force. Ryo and Robert fight their way through the cast of street thugs, dojo rivals, and underworld figures, gaining clues about Yuri's location with every defeated opponent. They fight rivals like Ryu Haku and crime associates like Jack Turner, Muay Thai Fighter King. It gave more than just an intro and an ending. The interactions between the characters went a long way to keep you engaged. You also had another game that would do the same thing years later. Rival Schools, United by Fate, was a champion of this shift. It put the story front and center, weaving an intricate plot about high school students fighting to protect their friends and uncover conspiracies. The why behind every fight became just as important as the execution of the moves. The drama elevated the basic combat mechanic. But the real revolution came when developers realized they can combine the depth of an RPG with the precision of a fighter.
We don't fight out in the streets no more. We're organized now. We too gangster for the garden, so we've taken it underground.
And here we have Def Jam Vendetta. In this game, the narrative and combat went hand in hand. Players built their own character, rose through the underground fight scene, navigating betrayals, alliances, and a world defined by hip-hop culture. And you can also switch out girlfriends, which was kind of funny now that I'm thinking about it.
What's up, baby? You must be tense after all that fighting. Why don't I give you a rub down? Hit the road, honey. This one's taken. But your corny ass? Nah, I think he's ready for a real woman. Ain't you cutie? Come on, baby. Tell this skank what's what. You're about to get your face broken. That's what's what. Bring it on, bitch.
What would you do?
Mortal Kombat took the cinematic storytelling to its peak though. All MK games since 9 had one massive story. They had blockbuster quality cutscenes, and you could play as different characters through the chapters. You had to be good with almost every character if you wanted to see the ending, except for the ones that were basically punching bags. The story mode became a must play and a key selling point. Possibly the most influential story mode comes from Soul Calibur though. Mission Battle is a map-based single-player mode where you travel across the world map, completing battles that have unique conditions. Each mission usually introduces a twist that forces you to master mechanics beyond the normal one-on-one fights. You have to move between different points on the map, each representing a mission stage. Every mission features a special gimmick, such as enemies with regenerating health, fighting multiple opponents back to back, slippery floors or ring out hazards, time themes, enemies with extreme defense or attack stats. Completing missions reward you with gold, gallery unlocks, and new weapons that can be used in weapon mode. Each new stage also came with a little bit of dialogue to let you know about your journey, how you got there, and why you're fighting what you're fighting. This fighting game is consistently listed as one of the best games on the Dreamcast, and I think mission mode plays a part in why. Fast forward 20 plus years later and we get to Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 introduced World Tour, where players create a fighter and explore Metro City, completing missions, fighting rivals, and learning new moves along the way. It's a structured, story-driven single-player experience. Not fully open world, but more free-form than any previous Street Fighter. It shows how even competitive fighting games are embracing narrative to engage players. Last but not least, let's switch over to sports. The ultimate shift occurred in sports simulations, a genre traditionally defined by statistical accuracy in multiplayer leagues. Even here, storytelling became the main event. Before the modern era, games like WWF No Mercy on the Nintendo 64 were already experimenting with deep career modes. Their branching storylines, where outcomes depended on victories and losses, made the game feel like a wrestling soap opera you could control. But the dramatic shift to true cinematic narrative came in the late 2000s. I'm sure you have heard of the Tony Hawk franchise, but Tony Hawk Underground was one of the first to bring you a crazy story mode. You were an amateur skateboarder trying to make a name for yourself.
Check it, man! Muska is actually coming to this dump for a skate demo. Get dressed, let's go!
Well, I just got my ride all set up. Sort of.
Looks like that thing's held together with duct tape. Let's go skate.
But then you had other games like EA's Fight Night Champion. The game featured Champion Mode, which told the gritty story of Andre Bishop, a boxer fighting back from a corrupt system and time in prison. Using cinematic angles, emotional cutscenes, and a dramatic arc, the game transcended the boxing simulator to become a narrative masterpiece wrapped around a sports mechanic. I also would like to take just a second to say his brother got destroyed in this game. From boxing to basketball, NBA 2K took sports storytelling and ran with it. Starting around 2K14, their My Career mode stopped being a statistical slog and became a fully voiced, choice-driven cinematic drama. The peak was arguably NBA 2K16's Living the Dream, directed by legendary filmmaker Spike Lee. The mode let players experience the intense, often melodramatic rise from street baller to NBA star. It was a fully cinematic sports narrative, complete with major life decisions and professional drama, cementing the idea that players want to be the protagonists in their favorite sport.
Let's do this, young man.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Frequency Vibration. Welcome aboard, young man. Welcome aboard.
This trend wasn't limited to North American sports. FIFA introduced The Journey, a story mode that included the career of a fictional character, Alex Hunter. The global narrative, which spanned 3 separate titles, included international travel, contract disputes, family drama, and lone moves. It was designed to hook players who might be intimidated by the complexity of a full simulation mode, offering an accessible, character-driven path into the game. The conclusion is pretty much unavoidable. A personal cinematic story humanizes the simulation, giving every statistical goal, every successful pass, every victory an emotional consequence. So we've seen where the story takeover happened, but let's look at why it pretty much was inevitable. Some of you may think technology. We simply couldn't have these stories 30 years ago. Today's consoles and PCs can render photorealistic cutscenes in real time. This eliminates the visual gap between gameplay and pre-rendered video, keeping the player immersed in the game. Some of you could also think it's a change in culture. Nowadays, we don't just want a challenging mechanic, we crave context, motivation, and emotional connection. I would disagree with both of these. I've already touched on how story modes looked in the early 90s, so we know it could be done. I also think that demand for stories has always been there as well, even if some people didn't know they wanted it. I can at least speak for myself when I say that I wanted to learn more about the characters in Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, and this is me as a 7 to 9-year-old kid back then. I even got examples of when I was playing NBA Live as a teenager and wishing that you could do more for a creative player there. It's not really that complicated when you think about it. We as players have pretty much always wanted it, but nobody ever done it. And when people started doing it, we gave them positive feedback on it. Have you ever played an adventure or RPG that had a terrible ending? Well, it's a similar feeling for a game that doesn't have an ending at all. You could start to feel like you just wasted your time. I would also ask this: out of the best games on every console since the NES, can you name a game that doesn't have a story at all? Probably not. The narrative experience satisfies the human need for purpose. It makes the grinding, repeating nature of video games feel worthwhile. Players are no longer satisfied with a high score. They want to know what happened next with their character. Story modes, paradoxically, are now excellent business decisions. They act as a long-form tutorial for complex mechanics. World Tour in Street Fighter 6 teaches fighting fundamentals without the pressure of online competition. Soul Calibur teaches its moves through sparring with the Weapon Master. This broadens the audience far beyond the hardcore fan base, making these games appealing to casual players. And a broader audience means higher sales. From the quirky rivalry in Puyo Puyo to the prison drama of Fight Night Champion, one thing is abundantly clear. It's the engine that gives players purpose, emotion, and connection. It justifies the replay value, deepens the mechanical mastery, and makes even the simplest gameplay loop feel truly meaningful. Technology allows the spectacle, but it is the player demand that is driving this change. We don't just want to play a game, we want to be a part of its world. We want the stakes, we want the drama, we want to feel something significant when we hold the controller. Maybe the real question isn't why do games have story modes now? Maybe it's why did the industry take so long to realize that a great story makes every game in every genre undeniably better. The story mode takeover is complete, and gaming is richer and more engaging because of it. And even if you're somebody that doesn't like story modes in these video games, you can always just start up a game just like you did back in the days. Thanks for watching. This was different for me, but I enjoyed doing this one. Let me know in the comments what your favorite story in a game that technically didn't need one. Maybe it was a sports title or a puzzle game. Did you play any of the games that I referred to? Did you like their story mode? Did it make you like the game more because it had one? Let me know that in the comment section as well. I might come out with another one of these. I mean, I got a couple of different ideas, a couple of concepts. Y'all have to let me know if y'all found this enjoyable, and I'll take it from there on whether or not I should do another one. But until then, you should check out my retrospectives. I got a pretty good one on Mega Man X right now. Technically, I feel like all my retrospectives are really good, but since I gotta choose one, let me go with Mega Man X. And hopefully you might, subscribe and you'll check out some other stuff when it comes out. With all that being said, I'll see y'all in the next video.